Some cafes don't invite you to linger. Harsh lighting, cramped seating, and clashing colors make them feel rushed and uncomfortable. It's not just appearance, it's how the space makes you feel. Design shapes where you sit, how long you stay, and even what you order. In this episode, we explore the psychology of the perfect cafe layout, how color, light, sound, scent, and texture guide your experience without you noticing. We'll look at cafes as third places, the spaces between home and work where community forms. We'll unpack how first impressions form in seconds, why some layouts encourage longer stays, and how small design choices impact spending and return visits. From Los Angeles to Melbourne to Singapore, we'll visit cafes that get it right, spaces that feel just right the moment you walk in. By the end, you'll see your favorite cafe in a whole new light. A cafe is more than a place to drink coffee. In many communities, it becomes what sociologists call a third place. Home is the first place. Work is the second. The third place is where people spend time between the two. It is where they relax, meet friends, or even work on personal projects. Cafes have filled this role for centuries, but in modern cities, they are one of the few spaces where people can gather without the pressure to buy much or leave quickly. When a cafe works well as a third place, it builds a sense of community. People begin to recognize each other, even if they never speak. A regular customer might know the barista's name, notice the same group of students in the corner, and feel anchored to the space. That feeling is not an accident. It is the result of design choices that make people want to return. First impressions shape how people feel about a space almost instantly. Research shows that in the first 7 seconds, people form a judgment about whether a place feels inviting or uncomfortable. This decision happens before they read the menu or taste the coffee. Light, cleanliness, and openness have the most influence during that short moment. Natural light streaming through large windows signals safety and openness. Even lighting with no harsh shadows creates a sense of comfort. Clean tables, floors, and counters communicate care and attention. Clutter or dim corners can have the opposite effect, making the space feel neglected. The mind reads these cues without conscious effort. This is the approach or avoid instinct at work. If the space feels open and cared for, people are more likely to step inside and settle. If it feels dark, cramped, or messy, they may choose to leave or take their drink to go. Design is not just decoration. For a cafe, it can be a direct business tool. The way furniture is arranged, the choice of materials, and the quality of lighting all affect how long people stay. Dwell time is a key measure. If customers feel comfortable, they may order another drink, a pastry, or even lunch. Longer stays often lead to higher average spend. The design can also influence how often customers return. A space that feels personal and consistent becomes part of someone's routine. Even small changes, like adding plants, improving acoustics, or rearranging seating to create both social and quiet zones, can shift behavior in measurable ways. Imagine 2 cafes on the same street. One has large windows, a simple layout with clear paths to the counter, and a mix of seating options. The other has small, crowded tables, low ceilings, and little natural light. Both serve similar coffee. The first cafe will likely see more customers who choose to sit for a while. They may meet friends there or work for an hour, leading to additional orders. The second cafe may get a steady flow of customers, but fewer who linger. Over time, the first cafe might become a neighborhood meeting point, while the second remains a quick stop for caffeine. A well-known example of design influencing business results is Café Gratitude in Los Angeles. The owners wanted to create a space that encouraged connection and longer visits. They focused on natural light, open seating arrangements, and warm, neutral colors. Large communal tables sat alongside smaller 2-person tables to allow both group and solo visits. They kept visual clutter to a minimum, but included details that sparked conversation, like small phrases carved into the wood of the tables. They also paid attention to sound. Soft background music and noise-absorbing materials reduced echo, making it easier for people to talk without raising their voices. These choices were intentional. Over time, they found that the average customer stayed 40% longer than before the redesign. That extra time often meant another drink order or a dessert. It also deepened the relationship between the cafe and its customers, as people began to treat it like a community space rather than just a coffee shop. The link between design and customer behavior is easy to overlook because much of it happens on a subconscious level. A chair's comfort, the distance between tables, or the placement of the counter may seem like small details, but together they guide how people move, where they sit, and how long they remain. When a customer walks into a cafe, their senses gather dozens of small signals. The smell of fresh coffee, the feel of a smooth wooden table, the view from their seat, all of these create a picture in their mind. If that picture feels calm, safe, and pleasant, they stay. If it feels chaotic or cramped, they leave sooner. Designing with this in mind means thinking beyond style. A beautiful cafe that photographs well may not always succeed if it ignores comfort or function. A space with perfect lighting for social media, but chairs that are too hard will see shorter visits. The most effective cafe designs balance visual appeal with psychological comfort. This is why many successful cafes test changes over time. They might shift the position of a table to improve the flow of movement or adjust the lighting in the afternoon to keep the atmosphere consistent. They may notice that adding a bench by the window draws more solo customers, or that placing the pastry case in direct view of the ordering line increases sales. Each change builds on the understanding that design is about shaping experience. When people talk about vibe in a cafe, they are describing the combined effect of many design elements on their mood. A well-designed cafe can make a person lose track of time. The balance of sound, light, and layout keeps them engaged without overstimulation. That is why certain cafes become landmarks in their neighborhoods. They offer not just good coffee, but a place where people feel at ease. In a time when many work from home, cafes that act as third places fill a growing need for human connection. Thoughtful design makes that possible, not by adding more decoration, but by shaping how people experience the space from the moment they walk in. Color is one of the first things people notice when they enter a cafe, even if they don't consciously register it. The human brain links colors with emotions, and those emotions can influence how people feel, how long they stay, and even what they order. Warm colors like red, orange, and certain shades of yellow create energy and can stimulate appetite. They tend to make a space feel lively and busy. In a cafe, this can lead to faster customer turnover because the environment encourages activity rather than lingering. This works well in high-volume cafes where quick table turnover supports the business model. Cool colors like blue, green, and some shades of gray tend to have the opposite effect. They create a calm, focused atmosphere. Customers often feel more relaxed in these spaces and may stay longer. A cafe with soft blue walls, pale green tiles, and plenty of space between tables might encourage people to read, work, or talk for extended periods. This can increase dwell time and lead to more repeat orders over the course of a visit. Cool colors can also make a space feel larger, which is useful in smaller cafes where crowding could become uncomfortable. Neutral tones like beige, cream, taupe, and soft grays can give a cafe a sense of timelessness and sophistication. These colors don't compete for attention and allow other elements, such as art or the coffee itself, to stand out. Neutrals also adapt well to changing trends. A cafe painted in a soft, warm gray can shift its personality with changes in furniture, lighting, or seasonal decor without a full redesign. Many cafes use neutrals as a base and add accents in warm or cool tones to control the mood. Choosing a color palette should match the cafe's brand personality. A trendy urban cafe might use bold contrasts, like deep black walls with pops of bright yellow, paired with industrial materials like steel and concrete. This creates a sense of energy and edge, appealing to a younger crowd who might come for quick meetings or casual gatherings. A cozy local cafe might lean toward earthy tones like terracotta, olive green, and chocolate brown. Paired with warm lighting, these colors can make the space feel intimate and familiar, encouraging longer visits and a sense of belonging. A minimalist or creative cafe might choose a monochrome palette with soft pastels. This combination keeps the focus on the coffee or the creative work happening in the space, while still feeling fresh and modern. Lighting changes how colors appear and how they affect mood. Daylight tends to make colors look more vibrant and true to their natural tones. A cafe with large windows that let in morning sun will see warm colors like red or orange appear more vivid, while cool blues will seem crisp and clean. Artificial lighting changes the perception of these same colors. Warm artificial lighting can soften cool tones, making them feel less stark, and deepen warm tones so they feel more intimate. This is why some cafes adjust their lighting throughout the day, using brighter, cooler light in the morning for energy, then shifting to warmer light in the evening to create a relaxed atmosphere. Color also carries cultural meanings that can change how people respond to a space. In Japan, white often represents purity and cleanliness. In some other cultures, white is linked to mourning and loss. A cafe using a lot of white in its design might be seen as fresh and modern in one place, but cold or even somber in another. Red, often used to stimulate appetite, can also be seen as a sign of luck and prosperity in some cultures, while in others, it may be associated with danger or warning. Understanding these differences is important for cafes in multicultural areas or for brands expanding into international markets. A well-known example of using color to build identity is Blue Bottle Coffee. Their signature blue is not a bright, aggressive blue, but a calm, muted tone that reflects their focus on precision and quality. This blue appears on their cups, packaging, and signage, creating instant recognition. The color choice also aligns with their brand image: calm, confident, and deliberate. Even in busy urban locations, the sight of their soft blue logo against a neutral background creates a sense of pause. Customers associate that blue with the brand's promise of a consistent experience, no matter where in the world they are. Consider how these principles might play out in two different cafes. One cafe uses warm reds and oranges, with pendant lights casting a golden glow over each table. The space feels lively and full of movement. People come in for a quick coffee and conversation, then leave for the next part of their day. The other cafe uses pale blues and light wood, with large windows letting in steady daylight. The atmosphere feels slower and more focused. Customers open laptops, spread out notebooks, and stay for hours. Both cafes may be successful, but the color choices have helped shape very different patterns of behavior. In practice, cafe owners often combine color and lighting to fine-tune their atmosphere. A cafe might have neutral walls, warm-toned wooden furniture, and changeable accent decor in the form of cushions, artwork, or seasonal displays. These accents can shift from warm to cool as needed without repainting or major renovation. In the morning, sunlight might highlight these accents, while in the evening, warm bulbs deepen them for a cozier feel. This approach allows for flexibility while keeping the core identity intact. Color is a silent but constant influence. People rarely say they stayed longer in a cafe because the walls were painted a calming shade of green or because the lighting softened the glare on the table. Yet these factors affect mood and behavior as much as the comfort of the chairs or the quality of the coffee. In a competitive market, understanding the psychology of color can help a cafe design not just a beautiful space, but one that supports the kind of customer experience the owner wants to create. The way a cafe is laid out shapes how people move, where they sit, and how long they stay. People instinctively move toward light and open areas. A bright corner near a window will draw customers before they even look for a seat in the darker parts of the room. This instinct is tied to a basic sense of comfort and orientation. People want to see what's around them and feel they have space. When the layout hides the counter or menu, customers can feel uncertain about where to go next. Clear sightlines make the process simple. If someone can see the counter, the ordering line, and the seating areas at a glance, they feel confident about how to move through the space. Different layout styles create different experiences. An open concept layout has few barriers and allows customers to see across the room. It feels airy and social, but it can get noisy. Zoned layouts divide the space into sections, perhaps a lively area near the counter, a quiet corner for reading, and a communal table for groups. This allows the cafe to serve different needs at the same time. Compact layouts make the most of small spaces by arranging seating close together. This can create a bustling, energetic feel, but may not encourage long stays. Counter service layouts place most of the focus on speed, with the counter as the central feature and seating as secondary. This works for high-volume, quick-turn cafes where customers often take their drinks to go. The layout also affects dwell time. If a cafe wants people to stay longer, it can place power outlets near tables, offer comfortable chairs, and use larger tables that can hold laptops, books, and drinks without feeling cramped. Small details, like leaving enough space between tables, can make people feel more comfortable staying for extended periods. On the other hand, if the goal is faster turnover, the cafe might limit power outlets, choose smaller tables, and use seating that is comfortable but not suited for hours of work. Table size plays a role in ordering habits too. A small two-top may hold only a coffee and a pastry, while a larger table can accommodate a full meal. For profitability, certain layout choices can guide customer behavior. Placing the counter near the entrance captures impulse orders from passers-by. Someone might see the display of pastries or hear the sound of milk steaming and decide to buy something, even if they hadn't planned to. Mixed seating types can also help. A few large communal tables can serve groups and encourage conversation, while two-person tables allow for privacy. Bar seating along a window can make use of narrow spaces and give solo customers a comfortable option without taking up larger tables. An example of strategic layout is the Starbucks Reserve Roastery in Seattle. The space is large, but it is carefully divided into zones that serve different purposes. Near the entrance, there is a counter for quick takeaway orders, designed for speed. Deeper inside, there are large communal tables for socializing and smaller tables for individual work or reading. The roasting equipment is visible from many points in the space, giving customers something to watch. The layout lets the cafe serve people who want to grab a drink and leave, those who want to meet friends, and those who want to spend hours working, all without one group disturbing the others. Imagine a small neighborhood cafe applying these ideas. It might place its counter where customers see it immediately upon entering, with the menu positioned above at an easy-to-read height. The front section could have a few small tables for quick visits. Toward the back, it could offer a quieter area with cushioned chairs and outlets for longer stays. A narrow bar along one wall could give solo visitors a place to sit without feeling they are taking up a larger table. This arrangement serves both the commuter who wants a fast coffee before work and the freelancer who needs a place to spend the afternoon. The flow through a cafe should feel natural. Customers should not have to guess where to order or where to find seating. Obstacles like crowded pathways or confusing signs can frustrate people and make them less likely to return. Good layout guides them without obvious instructions. The position of furniture, lighting, and decor can subtly direct movement. A row of plants might separate a busy area from a quiet one. A shift in flooring material can signal a transition from ordering space to seating area. These small cues tell people how to use the space without the need for constant staff direction. When layout is done well, customers barely notice it. They move from the door to the counter, choose a seat, and settle in without hesitation. Their experience feels effortless. This ease is not an accident, but the result of planning how people interact with the space from the moment they step inside. A well-planned layout balances comfort, efficiency, and the cafe's business goals, using space as another tool for shaping the customer journey. Lighting shapes mood in ways customers often feel but rarely think about. Warm, dim lighting creates intimacy. It makes a cafe feel like a safe place to slow down, talk quietly, or enjoy a book. Bright lighting adds energy and signals activity. It works well for breakfast hours or in cafes designed for quick visits. Natural light has an especially strong effect on mood. Studies show that exposure to daylight can improve focus, lift energy, and even influence spending habits. A seat near a sunny window often becomes the most sought-after spot in a cafe. When the sun shifts or sets, the space changes, and artificial lighting needs to take over to keep the atmosphere consistent. Some cafes adjust their lighting across the day to match how they want customers to feel: bright in the morning, softer in the afternoon, and warmer in the evening. Sound is another constant influence. Some cafes use curated playlists to set the tone. Slow, mellow tracks can encourage people to linger, while faster tempos can lead to quicker eating and movement. The volume matters too. Music that is too loud can push people out, while while music that is too quiet can make a space feel lifeless. Many cafes also rely on ambient noise, the hum of conversation, the hiss of milk steaming, the clink of cups. This natural cafe soundscape can make a space feel alive without drawing too much attention. Some customers even seek out these sounds for comfort or focus, which is why recordings of cafe noise exist online. The balance between music and ambient sound changes the perception of the space. A cafe that plays gentle jazz in the background feels different from one that uses upbeat indie tracks at a higher volume. Scent works on a deeper, more instinctive level. The smell of freshly ground coffee can signal comfort, energy, and familiarity. The aroma of pastries baking can trigger hunger, even in someone who planned only to order a drink. Some cafes take this further by developing a signature scent, a consistent aroma that becomes part of their brand. This might be a mix of coffee, baked goods, and a subtle note from a candle or diffuser. When customers smell it again, even outside the cafe, it can trigger memories of the space. The scent becomes another layer of identity. Positioning certain foods or brewing equipment so their aromas reach customers as they enter is a simple way to use scent as part of the experience. Touch plays a quieter but still important role. Texture communicates authenticity, warmth, and quality without a word being spoken. A table made from natural wood feels different from one made of cold steel. Wood can make a cafe feel grounded and comfortable, while steel can signal modernity and efficiency. Ceramic cups feel solid and personal compared to disposable paper cups. Fabric chairs invite people to stay longer than hard metal stools. Even the feel of a door handle or the smoothness of a counter can influence how customers perceive the space. These tactile cues combine with visual and olfactory elements to create a complete sensory experience. Intelligentsia Coffee's cafe in Chicago uses all of these elements together. The lighting shifts from bright and open in the morning to warmer and more intimate later in the day. Music is carefully chosen to match the time and customer flow. Quieter during work hours, livelier during busy weekend mornings. The scent of freshly roasted beans carries through the space, with brewing often done in view of the customers, so the smell is tied to what they see. Wood counters and tables soften the clean lines of the modern design, creating a balance between warmth and precision. Every detail supports the feeling they want customers to associate with the brand: quality, care, and a sense of place that encourages both quick visits and lingering stays. In a small neighborhood cafe, these ideas might take simpler form. Large windows could bring in as much daylight as possible, with soft pendant lights adding warmth when the sun goes down. A playlist of calm, mid-tempo music could keep the mood steady. The smell of fresh bread from a small oven near the counter could tempt customers to order more than they planned. Chairs with soft cushions could encourage afternoon readers to stay for another coffee. By thinking of lighting, sound, scent, and touch as connected parts of one design, the cafe would offer an experience that customers feel on multiple levels without needing to consciously notice each element. When all senses are engaged in harmony, the cafe feels intentional. Customers may describe it as comfortable or atmospheric, but what they are reacting to is the sum of many subtle choices. Lighting invites them in, sound holds their attention, scent stirs appetite, and touch reassures them they are in a place worth staying. Each of these elements can be adjusted to shape the kind of visits the cafe wants to encourage, whether that is a quick morning rush, a long afternoon of work, or an evening of conversation. The outside of a cafe begins shaping a customer's decision before they even think about ordering. Signage plays a major role in that first impression. The font must be easy to read from a distance, whether someone is walking or driving past. Overly decorative lettering can slow recognition, while poor color contrast can make the name hard to see in bright sun or low light. A clear, simple typeface is often the most effective. The style of the sign should also match the cafe's identity. A hand-painted script may suit a rustic coffee house, while clean sans serif lettering can work for a minimalist modern brand. Materials also send signals. A wooden sign feels warm and handcrafted, while metal or acrylic can suggest sleek precision. Customers notice these cues quickly, even if only on a subconscious level, and they use them to decide whether to step inside. Outdoor seating extends that first impression, and often acts as a magnet. When people see others sitting outside enjoying coffee, it signals that the place is worth visiting. This is social proof. People tend to follow the behavior of others, especially in public settings. Even a small arrangement of tables and chairs can give a sense of activity and welcome. Comfort matters as much as appearance. Sturdy, clean furniture invites people to sit, while wobbly chairs or cramped tables push them away. Shade options like umbrellas or awnings can make the space usable in more weather conditions. Plants, planters, or simple decorations can help define the seating area, making it feel intentional rather than an afterthought. The presence of customers outside can also subtly advertise the cafe's atmosphere to passersby, turning a static storefront into a living scene. Windows serve as both a physical and psychological bridge between the street and the interior. Large, clean panes let natural light in and allow people outside to get a glimpse of the space. The view should be enough to spark curiosity without giving everything away. A display of fresh pastries, the sight of a barista preparing drinks, or the warm glow of pendant lights can draw people closer. Too much clutter in the window can cause confusion and dilute the message. A jumble of posters, flyers, and unrelated decorations can overwhelm the eye and prevent a passerby from forming a clear impression. Using the window as a controlled frame, showing a few inviting details while keeping the rest of the space partially hidden, creates a sense of intrigue that can be more effective than full exposure. Melbourne's laneway cafes offer an example of how curb appeal can thrive without traditional storefronts. Many of these cafes operate in narrow alleys, with little more than a small sign or chalkboard to mark their presence. What draws customers in is not a flashy exterior, but a careful combination of sound, smell, and visual hints. The smell of coffee drifts into the street, music filters through open doors, and small clusters of people sit at tiny tables tucked against brick walls. The effect is subtle yet strong. It feels like a hidden discovery. Customers who wander into these laneways often feel as if they have found something special, and that feeling becomes part of the experience they remember. Picture two cafes on the same block. The first has a clear sign in a readable font, visible from the far end of the street. Its windows are spotless, and inside, a display of baked goods sits where it can be seen from outside. A few tables with comfortable chairs line the front, shaded by an awning, each with customers enjoying their drinks. The second cafe has a faded sign in a complex script, making the name hard to read. Its windows are partially covered by outdated posters. There is no outdoor seating, and from the sidewalk, it's hard to see what's inside. Even without trying the coffee, most people will feel more drawn to the first. They have already received enough cues to trust that their visit will be pleasant. The exterior should work with its surroundings. In a crowded city street with many competing signs, distinctive shapes or colors can help a cafe stand out. In a quieter residential area, a softer design that blends into the architecture might work better, signaling calm and familiarity. Lighting at the entrance is another element that can't be overlooked. A well-lit doorway feels safe and inviting at all hours. Even simple details like a clean doormat, neatly arranged planters, or a chalkboard menu with legible writing can make the difference between someone passing by and someone stepping inside. The outside of the cafe is not separate from the customer experience. It is the first chapter, setting expectations before the door even opens. Technology in cafes works best when it removes obstacles from the customer experience. Digital menus can help in high-traffic settings where speed matters. A screen near the entrance or counter can display items clearly, update prices or specials instantly, and show images without needing printed boards. When customers can read and decide before they reach the register, the line moves faster. This also gives staff more time to prepare orders rather than explain options repeatedly. In some cafes, mobile ordering apps take this a step further, allowing customers to choose and pay before arriving. The design of the space still matters here. Even with digital tools, there needs to be a clear path from entry to pickup and enough space for people to wait without blocking others. Smart lighting is another way technology can work with psychology. Light affects mood and behavior, and automated systems can shift the tone of a cafe across the day. Bright, cooler light in the morning can make the space feel energetic, matching the pace of commuters grabbing coffee before work. Softer, warmer light in the late afternoon can slow the mood, encouraging people to stay longer. Some systems adjust based on natural light levels, brightening when clouds pass or dimming when the sun is strong. This creates a consistent atmosphere without constant manual changes. Adaptive layouts take a similar approach to physical space. Movable partitions, lightweight tables, and modular seating allow a cafe to change its layout based on the time of day or type of crowd. Morning might call for more open space near the counter to handle quick orders, while the afternoon could shift towards smaller tables for work and conversation. The adjustments can be simple: sliding a table, rotating seating, or changing the placement of a communal bench, but the effect can be significant. The goal is to align the physical environment with the way people are actually using it at any given time. A cafe in Singapore offers an example of combining these ideas. The space uses occupancy sensors to track how many people are in each area. These sensors link to the lighting and sound systems. When the cafe is busy, the lights brighten slightly and music volume increases, creating a sense of energy that matches the pace of service. When it is quieter, the lights soften and the music slows, making the space feel more relaxed. Staff still control the system, but the automated adjustments give them a strong starting point. This approach means the atmosphere shifts in real time, responding to the actual customer flow instead of sticking to a fixed schedule. Even smaller cafes can apply similar thinking without advanced systems. Timers or app-controlled lighting can help shift ambiance throughout the day. Tablet-based menus can replace large static boards, making it easy to change items without reprinting. Wireless speakers allow for quick adjustments in music tempo or style based on how busy the space feels. The aim is to use technology as a quiet support for the customer experience. It should make ordering, seating, and spending time in the cafe smoother without drawing attention to itself. When used with intention, technology blends into the background, leaving customers with the sense that everything simply works the way it should. One of the most common layout mistakes in cafes is overcrowding. It is easy to assume that adding more tables will mean more customers and higher sales, but the effect is often the opposite. When tables are crammed too close together, customers feel they have no personal space. Moving between seats becomes awkward, and conversations feel exposed because people can hear every word at the next table. For staff, narrow walkways, slow service, and increase the chance of bumping into customers or spilling drinks. Even if the cafe fills every seat, people may decide not to return because the visit felt cramped and stressful. Leaving more space between tables may seem like a loss at first, but it can improve the overall experience, leading to longer stays, more repeat visits, and higher spending per customer. Neglecting acoustics is another issue that can ruin an otherwise attractive space. Hard materials like concrete floors, bare walls, and metal furniture reflect sound and create an echo chamber. When noise bounces around, the combined effect of music, conversation, and machine noise becomes tiring. Customers may leave sooner or avoid the cafe at busy times. On the other extreme, a space with too much sound absorption can feel flat and lifeless, removing the energy that makes a cafe enjoyable. The solution is balance, soft elements to absorb excess noise while keeping enough liveliness in the sound environment. Rugs, fabric upholstery, acoustic wall panels, and even bookshelves or plants can help break up sound reflections. Positioning noisy equipment like grinders away from main seating areas can also improve comfort. Brand consistency often gets overlooked in layout decisions. A cafe might invest in a strong name, logo, and color palette, but then fill the space with mismatched furniture and decor that dilute its identity. If the brand is built around a modern, minimalist image, heavy vintage chairs and patterned tablecloths will feel out of place. If the cafe presents itself as warm and rustic, glossy metal furniture can send a mixed message. Customers may not consciously identify the inconsistency, but they will sense that the atmosphere does not match the story the cafe is telling. Every visual and functional element should work toward a single, clear impression, from wall colors and materials to table shapes and seating styles. A strong example of correcting these mistakes comes from a small independent cafe that decided to rebrand after several years of flat sales. The original space had too many tables squeezed into a narrow room, making it difficult for customers and staff to move freely. The furniture was a mix of secondhand pieces in different styles and colors, giving the space a cluttered look. Hard surfaces created constant noise, and customers often mentioned in reviews that the cafe felt loud and crowded. The rebrand started by removing several tables and rearranging the layout to create wider paths. This immediately made the cafe feel larger and calmer. The owners invested in matching tables and chairs that reflected their brand's identity, a mix of light wood and neutral tones that matched the natural, simple aesthetic they wanted. Acoustic panels disguised as framed art were added to the walls, and seat cushions helped soften sound while improving comfort. The espresso machine and grinder were moved slightly to reduce the impact of their noise on the main seating area. The change in atmosphere was noticeable within weeks. Customers stayed longer, and many began ordering a second drink or food item during their visit. The cafe's average spend per customer rose, even though the number of seats had decreased. Reviews shifted from comments about noise and crowding to praise for the comfortable space and consistent style. The rebrand showed that removing obstacles to comfort, aligning the layout with the brand, and addressing sound issues could do more for revenue than simply trying to fit in as many people as possible. Inclusive cafe design starts with the basics of entry and movement. An accessible entrance allows all customers to enter without barriers. This means level thresholds or ramps instead of steps, doorways wide enough for wheelchairs or strollers, and handles that are easy to grip. These are not only legal requirements in many places, but also clear signals that everyone is welcome. Inside, pathways should be wide and free of obstacles. Chairs, displays, or bins that block movement create frustration for anyone trying to navigate with mobility aids or carrying large items. A layout that allows smooth flow benefits everyone, from a parent pushing a stroller to a delivery person with boxes. By planning for accessibility from the start, a cafe increases its potential customer base without needing separate solutions for each case. Seating is another part of inclusivity that affects the daily experience. Offering a mix of table sizes and seating types means different customers can find a place that works for them. Large tables can serve families or groups meeting for work, while smaller tables suit solo visitors or pairs. Bar seating along a counter can give individuals a comfortable spot without taking up larger tables. Customers who plan to work will appreciate access to power outlets and space for laptops and notebooks. Families with young children may look for high chairs, low tables, or an area where children can move without disturbing others. Even a small child-friendly corner with a basket of books or toys can make a cafe more welcoming for parents, encouraging them to stay longer and order more. Cultural sensitivity in decor helps ensure the space feels open to a broad range of people. Symbols, artwork, or phrases that are familiar and lighthearted to one group may carry negative or exclusive meanings for another. A travel-themed cafe, for example, should choose imagery that represents cultures respectfully, avoiding stereotypes or outdated depictions. Music and menu language can also carry subtle signals about who the space is for. Offering multilingual menus or using simple, clear language can make ordering easier for customers whose first language is not the dominant one. In neighborhoods with diverse populations, even small touches, like greeting signs in multiple languages, can help customers feel acknowledged. An inclusive cafe does not need to lose its character to be welcoming. A brand can keep its style and personality while making conscious choices about accessibility and cultural respect. For example, a minimalist cafe might choose simple, neutral wall art rather than pieces that could be misinterpreted. A rustic, family-focused cafe might design sturdy, easy-to-move seating so guests of all ages and abilities can use the space comfortably. These adjustments do not require large budgets, but do require awareness. When customers can enter without difficulty, move easily between tables, find seating that suits their needs, and feel respected by the environment, they are more likely to return. They also become more likely to recommend the cafe to friends, family, and colleagues. This loyalty often leads to steady, repeat business. Inclusivity and accessibility are not just moral choices, they are practical decisions that create a cafe where more people feel they belong. A cafe that feels right is the result of many choices working together. Color shapes the mood from the moment someone walks in. Warm tones can create energy and encourage quick visits, while cool tones can slow the pace and invite longer stays. Neutrals give a timeless base that adapts to changes in furniture, decor, and seasonal accents. Layout directs how people move, where they sit, and how easily they can order. Open plans encourage flow and visibility, while zone spaces allow for both lively social areas and quiet corners. Ambiance layers light, sound, scent, and texture to create a setting that feels intentional. Sensory engagement reaches beyond what customers see. The weight of a ceramic cup, the smell of freshly ground beans, the low hum of conversation all contribute to the memory of the visit. Balancing these elements is the ongoing task. Comfort keeps people in their seats, but efficiency ensures service runs smoothly. A space designed only for comfort can slow turnover too much, while one designed only for speed can feel rushed and impersonal. Brand identity anchors the design but must remain flexible enough to adapt to customer needs and shifting tastes. A cafe rooted in minimalism can still add warmth with texture and light. A colorful, playful cafe can still maintain functional flow and seating variety. The most successful designs allow for small changes without losing the core identity. Thoughtful design turns a cafe into more than a place to buy coffee. It becomes a familiar stop in someone's daily routine, a meeting point for friends, or a workspace that feels more alive than an office. It supports different kinds of visits: the quick morning grab and go, the lingering afternoon chat, the focused work session. Every decision, from the shade of paint to the arrangement of tables, plays a role in shaping that experience. The best designs work quietly, so customers do not think about why they feel comfortable, they just do. And as you sip that last drop of coffee, the soundscape fills the room. The gentle hiss of milk steaming, the soft clink of cups returning to saucers, the low murmur of voices rising and falling. Light slides across the table, catching the edge of a spoon. The air holds the warmth of roasted beans and fresh bread. You look around, and now you know why this place feels just right. Every detail has been chosen to work together, creating not just a cafe, but a space where people want to be.